The blue-black blanket above, illuminated with tiny dots like stars. The moon, epitome of peace and beauty, being the centerpiece of the artistic canvas of nature. You sat in the balcony attached with the bedroom, staring at the pale white moon, partially covered by the clouds. Even the symbol of tranquility couldn't provide the much needed serenity to your restless heart. A gust of cold wind brushed past you. You shivered and nestled your sleeping daughter in your embrace, adjusting her mini blanket around her. Jimin's mother's words were long forgotten. His deafening silence was making you more restless, creating a void in your heart. It gave birth to a phobia. Phobia of being left alone without the love of your life. Everything will be fine. Your father is with us. He will stay with us. You murmured, assuring yourself more than your daughter. You trusted him more than yourself. However, a human is full of doubts and insecurities. A slight change of events, and he or she discovers new fear to cry about. He is with us. You whispered to yourself. Your eyes stung as a sheen of fresh tears covered your eyes. Your pregnancy journey had made you more sensitive. Though your heart knew the answers of your doubts, your brain denied to acknowledge them. Another gust of chill wind blew up, making you shiver till your core. Goosebumps erupted all over your body. The hair on your neck stood up to attention. As you realized the weather had become more chilly and it could adverse your or Sarah's health, you rose from your spot and strolled inside the bedroom. Your heart sank to your stomach watching the sight unfolding before your eyes. There was a pile of your or Sarah's clothes, and Jimin sitting between the pile was packing the clothes in different bags. There was another bag stuffed with Sarah's toys and other necessities, and one big bag was placed at one corner. You blinked your eyes repeatedly to avoid the tears from spilling through your eyes. Sucking a good amount of air, you tried to relax your anxious heart. It's not what you are thinking. You chanted these words in your mind, grappling with your doubts and fears, which were almost at the verge of ruling over the realm of your love. Oh, you are here? Is she sleeping? He said in harsh tone as he pushed himself off the floor and walked over to you. You stared at him in disbelief, as he behaved like conversation with his mother never took place. Too bad. I wanted to play with her. I just can't get enough of her cuteness. He murmured with a pout. Taking her from your arms, he kissed her forehead. In that fleeting moment, you felt empty. A cold, almost freezing feeling crept within when the warmth of your daughter separated from you. Your heart popped inside your chest, rapidly and unevenly. He walked towards her crib and gently tugged her in. Sleep tight, my little princess, he whispered and placed another peck on her soft round cheek. What is all this? Are you planning to send us away? You probed in an undertone, pointing at the mess he created. Although you didn't show it, but he didn't fail to notice the bitterness in your tone. With a serious expression etched across his face, he walked over to you and grabbed your shoulder. You heard our conversation, didn't you? He asked, observing your gloomy face. You couldn't hold back anymore and burst into sobs. Tears cascaded like waterfall, continuous and never ending. He sighed and pulled you in his embrace, despite your futile attempts of pushing him away. Hey, calm down. I love you. He stroked your head and kissed your head multiple times, knowing no other word can comfort you except his honest confession, his reassurance that he was with you always. I heard her. She wants us away from you, and you didn't even say anything. You cried out and threw small blows on his chest, an insinuation that his silence has hurted you deeply. He held your wrist and placed a long pack on your fist. Calm down first. I'll explain everything. Shush. Stop crying. You eventually gave up and cocooned yourself more into his embrace. You didn't want him. You needed him. His warmth worked like fire on your cold heart. It's true that you and Sarah are leaving. He commenced after he felt like you were a little calm. Your grip around him loosened, and you parted away from his embrace, peering at him through your accusing gaze. He smiled and cradled your face between his hands. And I am tagging alone. I want a peaceful ambience for my wife and daughter. That's why I am shifting them to another house, away from toxicity. And I, being their husband or father, obliged to follow wherever they go. My soul resides within them. How will I survive without my soul? He murmured as he gently wiped your tears, which kept falling non-stop. But you, Mom, you stammered on your words, shocked by the newfound information. He smiled at your considerate nature. Do you trust me? You nodded within a heartbeat. He leaned down and placed his forehead against yours. Then, give all your worries and doubts to me. Be happy and prepare for our departure for tomorrow. Leave all other things on me. Your prime focus should be your health and our daughter. I'll handle the rest. Jimin, where are you all going? She rose from the couch and stood in front of Jimin. After the conversation with him last night, his silence lit a hope that maybe he was considering her proposal, and seeing him leaving with you and Sarah confirmed her hope. We are leaving the house, Mom. My family and I are going from here. A horrific expression took over her face as she processed his words. After talking to you last night, I decided it's better if we leave. Oh, so you are leaving because of this girl and her daughter. You are leaving your mother because of them. You held your daughter close to your chest. Your heart raced due to how bitter she sounded at that moment. This girl is my wife, and her daughter is my daughter as well. Out and out, they are my family. And about leaving you, you left me no other choice. He stated calmly, knowing his limits and decibel of talking to his mother. So you will leave your mother. You will leave me who gave birth to you, nurture you. Was it that easy to choose them over your own mother? Tears streamed down her face as the pain of her son going away sank deeper in her heart. Aren't you doing the same? Aren't you trying to separate a parent from his child? I'm not as great as a mother. I didn't go through the process and pain of giving birth. Does this make my love any less than a mother's love? His words left her speechless. You stared at him with glossy eyes. A subtle smile edged across your face. You remember 2 years ago we were in the same situation? At that time, I didn't back off and fought for my love. And this time, it is not only one, it is about my daughter too. Do you think I would listen anything against them and won't do anything? He stated with utter calmness. He was not angry, he was disappointed. I'm sorry, Mom, but I am happy with my daughter. She is my heir. I don't want a son just for the sake of family's legacy. According to me, kids are born out of love, not for family's future or anything. They deserve love, not the clutches of society's typical stereotypes. He asserted out and smiled, looking at his daughter, who was staring at him with her doe eyes. About leaving the house, I would have done it long ago if Ryan had not stopped me every time. My wife was always hopeful that someday you would change. She was on cloud nine when you started talking to her. She had never been so happy, not even with me. But you ruined everything. You loved me, Mom, but you never trusted me. If you had trusted me and my choice, you would know my happiness lies with Ryan. You would know that I can never be happy or secure without Ryan. He chuckled, which came out dull and hoarse. Jimmy's mother stayed glued to her spot, listening to him. If you feel like blaming someone, blame me or yourself because you are the cause I am leaving the house and I am the reason of it. He stepped towards her and hugged her tightly. Take care of yourself and dad. Call me anytime and I'll appear in front of you. He pulled out of the hug after placing a pack on her temple. Don't go, Jimin. She cried out and held his wrist. He shook his head and gently freed his hand from her grip. I won't. I won't stop today. This is the only way to ensure everyone's happiness. I can't bear a single word against my wife or daughter. Neither I have the strength to fight with you. I'm leaving. You heard Glenn seeing tears in her eyes. You stepped toward Jimin in an attempt to stop him. Jimin, don't. Let's go, Ryan. I won't stop today even if you say anything. He held your waist and escorted you out. He was staring ahead blankly, ignoring the pleadings of his mother. Tears escaped from your eyes as you looked behind at her broken street. You didn't want it. You never wanted to be the reason of a family separation. It's not you, it's her. Stop thinking ill about yourself and trust me. This is the only way to make everything right. Everything will be fine. He forced out a smile which didn't reach his eyes. You shrugged off your thoughts and nodded, putting your faith in his words. You stepped inside the room and smiled, watching the scene unfolding before your eyes. Jimin was laying on the bed with closed eyes and Sarah was asleep on his chest. But your smile soon disappeared when you look at his face. Your always calm and optimistic husband had a teamed amount of pain and sadness. He was torn between the responsibilities as a son and as a husband and father. He didn't say it out loud, but you knew he was anxious and burdened by the weight of the world. It's been 1 month since you moved out of Jimin's parents' house and shifted in his apartment. Nothing changed since then. It felt like life was still stuck where it was 1 month ago. You sneaked towards the bed and settled on it beside him. Reaching out for his head, you gently stroked it. He smiled, feeling your touch, and slowly opened his eyes. He held your wrist and tugged at it to make you lie on his arm. He craned his neck and placed a long, lingering peck on your forehead. Are you okay? You loved it how he always made sure you were fine, both physically and mentally, but hated it when he dodged the topic with a smile if asked the same. Are you okay? And don't you dare to smile at it. You warned, looking up at him. Jacqueline planted a quick peck on your nose. Look at my arms. You frowned and looked at his arms. Not understanding the context behind his words, you peered at him in perplexity. Look, my arms are full. One holding Sarah and other holding you. Do you think I am not okay? I am much more than okay. In fact, I am way beyond okay. Extremely happy and fortunate. Really? What about mom? Don't you miss her? Dad visits us once in a while, but what about mom? I think you should go and clear the differences. He let out a soft sigh and stared at the white, pristine ceiling above. There are no differences, Ryan. There is the disappointment. I'm disappointed with her, and seeing no efforts of amends from her side, I am upset. I love her and I'll always do, but I can't obey everything she says. I didn't want her demon year affecting you or Sarah adversely. That was why I decided to leave the house. Again, I left the house, not my parents. And I think you are missing her more than me. He teased with a mischievous smile. You pouted and buried your face in the crook of his neck. Honestly, I do miss her. Can't everything get back to normal? Should I have to get pregnant again to have my lovely mother-in-law back? You mumbled against his neck. He laughed at your remark, skillfully hiding his sadness. We can only wish for that. There is no choice except that. You murmured and kissed your head. A serene silence settled in between as you both decided to call it a day and fell asleep. Since when are you going to keep ignoring me? It is hurting me. She fretted, shaking him by his arm. He gave her a look and put the newspaper aside. What do you want me to do? Talk to you happily and act like everything is fine? My son, my daughter, and granddaughter left the house. You remember that? How am I supposed to behave? He lamented, turning his attention towards her. She looked on, controlling her tears. Let's talk. Let's finish it today, for once and all. He exclaimed, and she snapped her head towards him, contemplating his words. Why do you despise Ryan? Did she ever harm you, disrespect you, anything she did that you didn't like, or is there any issue with her? Tell me why this unacceptable behavior towards her. She was left tongue tied. She forced her brain to think about the reason of her hatred, but there was none. Her mind replayed all the events when you made efforts to win her heart, but she always pushed you away. Take your time. I am sure even if you spend an eternity, you won't find anything. You were the one Jimin loves the most. Still, he fought with you for Vian. He left the house for Vian. He stayed in this house for Vian. You are his mother. Still, you failed to acknowledge what your son wants. He shook his head in utter disappointment. She looked down as a drop of tear fell on her palm. If we forget all of this for a second, what you said about his daughter is unacceptable. If I were at Jimin's place, I would have done the same. Who fed these illogical things inside your head? Air and family's legacy? What is all this, honey? You are not like this. What have happened to you? You asked him to remarry? Seriously, I'm really disappointed. He sighed and looked away. I hope you understand what you are losing. And I also hope you won't be too late to realize it. I have always admired you as a strong leader of our house. Your son look up at you. Don't let your ego ruin your relationship with him. Regret after the loss is full of pain. He rose from the couch and bent down to plant a kiss on her forehead. I'm heading out to meet an old friend. I'll be back by evening. Take care. He smiled and left, leaving her grappling with her own thoughts. I am late, right? Your grandma stole your time. You know she is a good person, just a little adrift. She will come around, then she will play with you. You and I will team up against her and annoy her a lot, okay? He purred to Sarah, who threw her limbs, getting excited with his sweet talks. Dad, she has already teamed up with you. He chuckled, handing him a cup of freshly brewed coffee. Why not? After all, I am her father's father. Father to the power two. Isn't it, my doll? She giggled, enjoying her grandfather's undivided attention. What would you like to have for lunch? You asked. He shook his head, taking a sip of his coffee. No, no lunch today. I'm planning to go back early and have lunch with your mom. She had been a little off lately. I think she realized her mistake but don't know how to accept it. Maybe I can make her understand. He said, making faces at Sarah, who shrieked in response. Dad, how is your words left unsaid when you heard the sound of doorbell? You excused yourself and went to open the door. Mom, you whispered in astonishment, seeing the unexpected guest in your house. She looked at you and her lips twisted into a small smile. She was a graceful woman, glowing with her natural beauty, but her swollen red eyes and dark circles insinuated what she was suffering from. Won't you invite me in, Vian? You instantly stepped aside and opened the door wider for her. She smiled and entered inside. She halted, seeing Jimin's father playing with Sarah in the living room. He too stopped, noticing her. By the look on his face, you could tell he was stunned, not expecting her there. You said you wanted to meet an old friend. When did I lie? I came to meet my 2 months old friend, right, my doll? He asked Sarah, whose curious eyes were fixated on the new face. Jimin's mother's eyes fell on her, and something in her hair melted with the speed of light. She stepped towards him and extended her hands in an attempt of holding Sarah. Jamal's father reluctantly passed Sarah to her. She held her and pressed her forehead against a small one. I am sorry, my child. I'm so sorry. She cried and peppered kisses all over her face. Sarah giggled, enjoying the affections showered upon her. You smiled, sensing the things coming back on track. Your gaze fell on your father-in-law, who smiled, giving a reassuring nod. All right, you guys enjoy. I'll prepare lunch for us. You said and skated towards the kitchen. Your smile remained intact as you took out the ingredients to prepare lunch. Your jaw had started hurting by now, but you couldn't stop smiling. Vian, she softly called out as she stepped inside the kitchen. He stopped the task and turned to her with a smile. Yes, Mom, you need something? Your smile only made her feel more guilty. She nodded and held your hands between hers. I need your forgiveness. I'm sorry for my behavior, Vine. I'm really sorry. I don't know what had gotten into me that I became the typical vamp mother in law directly out of the dramas. I realized it was nothing but my spineless ego. Please forgive me. I won't ever repeat this again. You sensed her sincerity and generosity dripping down her sentiments. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness after what I did, but please give me a chance to make everything right. I realized I was always wrong, and Jimin was always right. He was right when he said there couldn't be anyone better than you because you are the best. She smiled amidst her tears. Your eyes welled up hearing her and squeezed her hands holding yours. Let the bygones be bygones and start fresh from the beginning. Hello, I'm Park Wine, your son, exclusive wife, and your daughter. You extended your hand for handshake. She looked between your eyes and your hand. Hello, I'm your husband's mother and yours too. She yanked your hands away and pulled you in a hug. You smiled, reciprocating the hug, and closed your eyes. Amends over grudges. One of foremost rule to lead a happy life. Jimin stood at the threshold of kitchen, smiling at the enchanting sight in front of him. Never knew his eyes craved to witness a hug between his mother and wife, a hug which would provide him extreme amount of contentment and a feeling of conquering the world. What are you cooking? Let me help. No, Mom, you play with Sarah. I'll handle this. One glare from her and you shut your mouth. You explained the lunch menu to her and then indulged in preparing lunch together. Amidst the hustle bustle, their eyes met German's at different moments, but they depicted the same emotion. Everything is fine now, and I'll make it even better.